Here we go. Right. Let's um let's see what I missed.
Okay, so we have questions from Evangelist.
Oh shit!
Pyro Flamethrower. When?
Evangelist straight in there.
Oh man, so
Fucking
we
hell.
have the VFX for it. It's just a perf consideration, and then also, how heavy we're gonna go with napalm. Like, does it leave like a burning effect? Over time. There's more gameplay ramifications on it.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if it was like a cool marking video, like yeah, we'd show you a cool video of like him torching someone. But I really want to make sure that like you know it's actually got like supporting gameplay, like maybe even potentially like AoE, like blocking, so he can kind of like block out areas with like the flamethrower as well, which could be super fun. But yeah, we're still experimenting with that. So when he's ready to rock, we'll definitely put it in the game post haste. Actually, Carlos did the model for the flamethrower, and he kind of added stuff to the conversation there that's fucking sick. It's very much got like that almost medieval like pole with like with the stake in it. So it's straight out of Rael's concept, but also he added some really cool industrial design.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing I want to think about when we do, whenever we do actual like flame throwing weapons, is interaction with specific enemy types, like different expectation when you hit something made out of steel versus something made out of meat. So like that's also a consideration we have to do.
Exactly. And this is obviously applicable to some other Yoruska units as well, some of which you guys have seen in the concept art. So looking forward to bringing those guys to life as well.
Absolutely.
Questions from Lord Raygun 007. Enemy one-on-one animations. Would you be able to implement enemies having cool animations that play out during fights?
I do like this
Similar
idea.
to that of the Monster Hunter games, where the beasts tackle each other when encountered,
It was also
creating a spectacle we can view from
it was also in
our
Dawn of War.
hiding spot.
In Dawn of War, you'd have like unique kill animations that would only be like between two specific units, which is really good. Was that in Dawn of War 1 and 2? I think it was. I can't remember now, but it definitely was in at least one of those games.
So fucking Lutely, that's actually something we're super pumped about, and we're actually integrating a little bit of like a rock paper scissors type hierarchy with that. So yeah, I mean it's because there's some more systemic pieces of that puzzle. We're trying to solve those as well to make sure that it's not just like this plays as soon as these guys jump into the map, and then it's like that's it. And then we wanted it to be a lot more interesting in terms of like a systemic solution. So we're digging in on that front. And I mean, Fiona and Craig are on the grind. They're working on some really really cool shit. So we can't wait to share more on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. And also like kind of similar to the flamethrower question, determining who can do what to who and what criteria is needed before they try, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Like we didn't want it to just be like just like an instantaneous like thing that just happens randomly like in the corner of your eye. And the other thing that's super important to keep in mind is some of the gnarlier Godzilla-esque Evangelion fights, they're also lethal for the player if that mech gets thrown into your position. So we're really trying to make sure that that's something that we have that's like somewhat balanced. So it's not just like this whole area of the map is now lethal, which I mean in some ways is really fun, and it's definitely spectacle. But we have to play test that and make sure that it's also fun.
Yeah, I'm okay with making an entire area lethal as long as it's learnable. You're like, better get out of here, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Questions from Artemis. Will there be a way to restore the destroyed weapons you find?
I don't want to spoil anything, but yes, and we're working on it.
Yeah, it's funny when Miles says that there's stuff that I was going to say that I'm no longer going to say. So I'll just agree with Miles.
No, it's funny actually. Like earlier this morning, Richard was working on some of the art for that, and it's looking fucking gangster. So yeah, I think it's definitely gonna be fun. Like we want it to actually be built into like some of the like the meta progression as opposed to it just being arbitrary. So yeah, we're taking a little bit longer with it, but we hope you guys take the implementation.
For sure. Yeah, if you're gonna say that, Miles, I'll say there's spreadsheets that exist. I'll leave it there.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Questions from Arsh Marsh. When do you plan on implementing skins for characters?
Well, the good news is they're here now. And yeah. I mean, it's it's not something that we want to like roll out like every month or anything stupid like that. Like we don't even have a large enough team size to do stuff like that. It was
bought the
more,
skins yet.
This helps us, keep the studio going and keep the art team as large as it is. And then on the other side too, like I mean, I really loved working with Rail and Fabio on those, and I thought they turned out really fucking cool. And it seems like you guys are digging them as well, so that's fantastic. And it's just, if anything, like it's just kind of like another way of expressing pieces of the world. It's not like, okay, cool, we want to put these out every 20 minutes. Like I don't have any interest in that. Like for us, we want them to have like, an impact if at all possible. And that honestly helps us, fund things like, some of like the animated shorts and other cool shit, that we're working on that like, frankly, there is, obviously very limited budget for. So, it definitely helps the team, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Not much to add there.
Oh, and one other consideration as well. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously there were some bugs with like, the leaked, grenade code, which is obviously test. There's not going to be any like abilities that are locked behind a skin.
Yeah, there's no systemic change when you change your skin.
Exactly.
Peaky Games Food. Can water canteens have a recipe to merge 10 of them into a water barrel?
Not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. It's a huge.
The thing is, it's not difficult to get water. It has never been difficult to get water. Even with it now being a currency of some sort, it is still not difficult to sustain water. But I think for people just starting in the game, to be able to build up their stockpile of water, that is a pretty good idea.
So you're crafting a blue barrel out of a bunch of tin cans. That's rad. No, I like it.
That's an idea I hadn't considered that I like.
That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
That's dope. It's like oh yeah. That could be cool.
I think that's
Question from Marvin Beek. Any plans to add end grenades, attention-grabbing utilities?
Yes, absolutely. As you guys saw with like that recent bug that we had where some of our test code was in there. Yeah, totally. I mean, we've got a lot of different applications in mind. Definitely adding to like the stealth
Spicy,
armory, of course. But
how's it going, man? How you doing? Long time no speak. I hope you're well. I'm not too bad. I'm just back from taking a break from streaming for a few weeks. One, because I went on my honeymoon. Two, because I needed a break. And three, just I had other stuff I needed seeing to. So yeah. You had a fever for a few days. Oh Jesus, man, that sucks. On top of a mental health crash as well. That's not good. I hope you're feeling better. There's been some stuff going around. Sammy, she's not been feeling too well. These past few days, she's been getting like really bad headaches and stomach cramps and things. But yeah, I'm glad to see you back. I've missed you. It was. We went to we got married at the end of September last year, but we only just went on our honeymoon. But we went to Crete for a week, so that was very nice. It got up to 40 degrees. I'm not a fan of the heat, so that was rough. But other than that, it was a lot of fun. It was good, relaxing. I feel refreshed and rejuvenated. I've probably put on about 2 stone. So yeah, back to regular normal life this week. Yeah, it was bad, man. It was really, really bad. Like even Sammy, she loves the sun, she loves the heat, but it was even too much for her. It was ridiculous. But luckily, it was only that extreme one day, There were a couple of days where it was like mid-30s, but then the rest of the time it was down to the mid and lower 20s, which for me is still too hot. But after experiencing mid-30s to 40 degrees, seeing 23, 24, 25 degrees was a welcome change. Oh boy.
Also, a lot of other offensive and adjacent utilities. There's a couple that we're pretty happy with that are unique to FW as well. So yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. Like it's definitely one that we want it to be like halfway decently featured. It's always a challenge because perf and also just some of the utility it affecting units in very specific ways. That's kind of out of the norm. That means that it obviously ties into AI and a lot of other considerations as well. But yeah, definitely, it's on the list.
Yeah, for sure. Once we get the ability to throw a thing where you want it to land, what that thing doesn't just have to be damage. There's a bunch of cool ideas that we're thinking about there.
Distractions.
Exactly.
Question from Alish.
Like there has been in the latest like I don't know if it was implemented in the latest update or if I just didn't realize it until now because I'm an idiot. But if you press G, you throw a grenade, but there's like infinite grenades. So I think that's currently a bug where they've been testing throwables. But it works. Like it goes to where you're aiming. So it seems like they've got that figured out. So I hope that they now start implementing craftable grenades, Molotovs, but most importantly, some sort of noise maker to create distractions.
Food and drinks, from trash to valuable trade. Will there be expanded merchants who, instead of credits, will only accept certain trash items? Will there be an underground scav black market?
I like it a lot. That actually could be an interesting incentive for some of like the more scav related narrative stuff that we were thinking of exploring. So like similar to Lordos, where you can talk to like random NPCs within the base camp, and then some NPCs that are basically passing through to get like more bits of like lore and whatnot. So that could be really, really cool. I dig the idea of it being like primarily trade item based too, because that's rad. Because like I don't know, that was like one of the big joys in Tarkov, where like like some random asshole was like, if you give me this spark plug and these nuts and bolts, I'll give you a grenade, and you're like, well, yeah, I'm on board, and then that kind of like has you kind of like reevaluate like what's important, what's valuable, kind of early tier. So yeah, I dig that.
I think that's another good idea, primarily because, again, the same with the water. After a while, credits just become a joke. Like I've put in over 100 hours into the game now, something like that, and I've got over 2 million credits at least. But then you get people like Evangelist who's put in over 1,000 hours into it, and I think he's got hundreds of millions of credits, and so it's just the currency's become a bit worthless in a way. So yeah, actually having a proper feudal bartering system rather than paying for credits, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's essentially a barter system. Like that's super interesting to explore.
Totally. I mean, for me, like the immediate application is more just like talking to like different survivors and kind of getting their stories and whatnot, and getting a little bit more background on the universe,
which is what they already have.
I like it
good.
Being like it's the best of both. I dig it.
Yeah.
Question from Finch GG's. Hotkey for no HUD mode. When?
We'll look into it. I won't promise. You're asking when. I can't give you that, but we certainly have the ability to debug to turn it off for various purposes. So exposing that to the retail game for players is something I'll look into. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be cool, like, because it's a lot closer to like photo mode in some ways, and obviously it's some really, really beautiful videos from a lot of people that are making content for the game as well. So yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense, and it definitely ups the immersion. Like we have the functionality, obviously, so if anything, like yeah, it being baked in, like as like a menu option. That seems pretty cool.
Question from Uprings. Further base upgrades, expansion, and progression. Will there be new upgrades in the future?
Yes,
I hope
and
so.
a lot of those
Yeah.
are designed by this guy in the middle that's reading the questions. Richard's got some really, really cool additional rooms, and he's got some ideas for some like really psychedelic, completely out there spaces that are tied to kind of not only lore stuff, but also like expanded utility for the scavs. So yeah, no, I think it's gonna be fucking sick. I'm super excited.
Question from Void. What are e-nuggets?
Oh
They want to
man.
know. They want to know.
Okay. I'm gonna dig this up. Kai sent me this message earlier this week. Give me just a moment. You know, this is
The E
one of
Nugget
those-
411.
The E Nuggets 411.
Is it like Soylent
Yeah,
Green?
let me dig up what he mentioned. E Nuggets. This is to quote Kai. They started life as power nuggets, seen on helmets like grins powering his tiny mandible hand. So they're basically like battery packs, kind of like when you see like the big battery pack on the back of like a fast helmet for like modern operators.
Okay.
It's kind of like that, but like slightly like microscopic, but still tactile. So it's not like, you know, super, super high tech. But yeah, so what Kai said was e-nuggets are quite literally consumable storage media, highly degradable flash memory storage devices, largely comprised of substances that can also be ingested.
What?
So basically, they're hard drives that you can eat like crackers, which is fucking dope.
Okay, I was not
Different
expecting that.
Markers ride on this functionality by introducing all kinds of drugs and psychoactive substances into the formula, leading to certain e-nuggets creating hallucinations when consumed orally. This effect created flash memories as a mini industry. I love it. So it's basically like oh my god, strange days, dude. They're literally strange day like N64 memory cards. Like that's fucking awesome, dude. That's really cool.
It's like somebody read what happens if you lick a Nintendo Switch card and said, "What if you eat it?"
I mean, I'm on board with that. That's it's completely out of control, but it fits.
That's
It's
cool.
appropriate.
I like that. I would hope it actually has an effect in the future other than just healing you for a little bit, like the food does. Like if they're saying it causes a slight hallucinogenic effect, then that would be interesting to consume them when out on a run. You'd eat one dipped in chocolate. I mean, do you like chocolate in the Forever? Oh wait, no, there are the chocolate bars in Forever Winter? There are, or are they like little energy bars? Shit, what are they called? Hey, you could melt that down. Dip an e-nugget into it. But I wonder what that's made of, the chocolate bar. It's probably not 100% chocolate.
Question from Fleet. Limited enemy ammo. So Old Man has a couple of lines about waiting for enemies to reload or run out of ammo before attacking or moving past them, and it's had me thinking quite a bit about enemies actually needing to reload or potentially running out of ammo entirely.
So it's actually a mechanic that we had in some of like our earlier prototypes when it was a little bit more like milsim heavy focused, where it was like pure simulation. The hard part is it's telegraphing and then also making sure that it's like it's something that, you know, the players can actually like perceive, and just figuring out like the balance on that. And honestly, like, you know, obviously there's a lot going on in any, you know, given like combat session. So it was one of the things that we decided to like dial back on. But we will be exploring some more very specific, like smaller, like let's call them micro behaviors for some of these units, and just looking at ways that we can kind of like make that like super communicated. And you saw some of that like with like the morale system in like some of like the early, you know, like prototype stuff as well. So we're definitely looking at ways that we can kind of hint at it. Like we might have to step back a little bit where it's more like RTS scale, where it's like after a firefight, you know, they do like a mag check, something like that, as kind of like, okay, like we've cleared this immediate threat, you know, and then they continue on their patrol.
So kind of
you
like
know,
a
check out
mini
the immediate
cooldown
area.
in a way.
But you know, we'll see what we can kind of bring back, and obviously, you know, for some of like the slice of life stuff and the life cycle material, it's definitely stuff that we can see again there.
Yeah, it's actually pretty trivial to just make the firearm stop shooting once a number reaches 0. The difficult part is, what does the person using the firearm do once that's no longer an option to attack? So that's the stuff you want to make sure it reads he's not shooting because he's bingo, and B, what is he doing because of that situation? So those are the things we would explore before actually putting that into the game.
Totally.
Question from Cornelius. Will Erskine drones actually be able to pick up players?
I hope so.
I'm gonna leave that one nebulous, but as we've been demonstrating so far, chances are if you saw it in a screenshot or a painting, it's going in the game.
Okay.
So we're super excited about some of the prototypes we've been doing with that, and I hope we can get it to you guys shortly.
Healing for Gunhead. Are you guys planning on adding a way for Gunhead to heal? Like maybe having a teammate repair him, or use a more expensive repair?
This question was asked in the last Q&A, and I think it was asked in the previous one before that. How at the moment Gunhead can't heal because he's a robot with a gun head. So he's got a lot of health, but there's no way to heal up. Which is kind of good if you're like, for solo play. It's not that unless you're being a bit stealthy, but he's not as stealthy as the characters. But the idea is mainly there are already pieces of loot in the game called like mech repair tools, tool sets, things like that. So rather than him use the medkits, have him be able to heal using the repair kit, but have it so that he can't heal. So I say he, it's a robot. It can't heal itself. It has to be repaired. But I feel like this is the third, like the third Q&A in a row where this has been asked now.
Repair kit.
Yeah, so like we mentioned last time, it's definitely something that's on our radar. It's not priority one. We're looking at more like macro systems related to the meta and a bunch of other cool shit. So it's definitely on the list. We'll get to it when we get to it, but we're definitely looking at expanding the utility for that character for sure.
Questions from Numeoch. New rig equipment. Stealth cloaking device, FPV drone with explosives, portable mortal, signal jammer.
Some people are too persistent with the same questions. Yeah, like there have been a number of times, like back, like several months ago before the water system was updated, you'd usually get the same question about the water every single time. So it is to be expected.
You got one of those right for sure.
We got wait. So it's about new rig equipment, and one of the things listed in the question was right for sure.
Numeoch. New rig equipment. Stealth cloaking device, FPV drone with explosives, portable mortal, signal jammer.
Cloaking device. Don't know how I feel about that one. Because as far as we're aware, there's no sort of cloaking technology in the game universe, so I like the idea of being able to have a drone, because there has been screenshots posted of like concept work for the skill trees, and one of the skill trees was like a drone skill tree. And even in the cinematic trailer, the Shaman character is operating a drone remotely. So I am hoping that we do get our own drones. What else was there? Like a portable mortar? That would be interesting. Some more heavy weapons to carry along, because they've recently included the railgun, which is a piece of equipment that needs 3 people to operate.
PV drone with explosives, portable mortal, signal Jammer.
Signal jammer. Look, it depends on what that did. There's already a signal jammer in the game for a mission where you have to take a signal jammer to this bit on the map where drones spawn to basically destroy the drones. So I wonder if like having a portable one of them that would interfere with enemy drones, but just give me I want drones. I want to be able to control a drone. Give me drone, please.
You got one of those right for sure. Hopefully some of the others at some point. But you know, one of the big things is like even with the railgun, you know, is a really big challenge to figure out like what was like a way that we could basically try to preserve kind of that delicate balance of it, like not, you know, so heavy that you're not really worried about anything anymore, like that it required, you know, some thought and obviously some teamwork. So we don't necessarily want to make it too easy for players with that, but expanding expanding the utility I think is cool. But yeah, for sure. I mean, like we have tons and tons and tons and tons between like Hi and Jeff. There's probably like 150 plus rig like designs that we haven't implemented yet. So if anything, it's really just picking the ones that make the most sense for gameplay and that we can roughly work in a balanced manner. And then maybe like honestly, we might even just do some test, you know, types of equipment where we'll give something to you guys and just be like, do you guys dig this? Does this help expand on the experience? Does it detract from that? And that actually gives us a lot of opportunities to kind of like explore and, you know, kind of like brainstorm some of these stuff like with you, so that like you guys can tell us like this totally breaks the entire fucking game, or this adds a lot of, you know, unexpected utility. Like, so I'd be pretty open to that for sure.
No, that's a great idea. Like you said, like we have on paper a lot of ideas, and even like a couple prototypes of some of the stuff that's never made it into the retail game, because A, it wasn't in a shippable solution. It was just, does this even work? What does it feel like in screen? And B, it wasn't a priority when we looked at it. There was bigger fish to fry. But that's actually a really cool idea. If we can like pick one or two surgically to say your thoughts and then get feedback, that's a cool idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, like working it, like maybe it's like something that Bunko's prototyping, like the mystery box, right? You know, which is like end of the month mystery box, like rig equipment. You guys let us know what you guys think of this thing, and we won't even specify what it does, right? Just go in there and give it a try. It can be fun.
Oh, that mystery machine. Push the button to find out.
Exactly.
Next question from Monster Tamer Bloba. Will we see more endgame content anytime soon?
Definitely. Yeah, no, we're really, really excited about some of the new mechanics related to that, and some of the new characters that you get to interact with. Or, well, I don't know. Some of them are characters, some of them are something else. But yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, big chunk of what we're working on, I won't reveal any specifics, obviously, but like is the meta in the long game, and that's involved for sure.
Yeah.
Question from Napalm Boner Fart. Classic. Will players get the ability to heal other players?
I just want to go. Hey, Miv, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I just want to get this guy's name again.
Question from Napalm Boner Fart.
Napalm Bonaparte. Kind of sounds like Napoleon Bonaparte. Napalm Bonaparte. Fuck me.
Classic. Will players get the ability to heal other players?
Jeff question.
I mean, if your strict rules, Revive kind of does that. That's an interesting idea. I think there was a previous question about rig equipment. Maybe that's a utility for that.
You missed the dev stream, Miv. The first question was one that Evangelist had put forward about like pyrotechnic weapons.
I want to make sure, or we all want to make sure, if we do anything like that, that it interacts with the cooperative elements, which it obviously would, and it fits within the ecosystem of all the other stuff you can do. So yeah, that's something we've been exploring, but not found an implementation that.
I'll play it back for you once we get to the end of this. In fact, hang on, once we get to the end of this question.
Worth pushing out quite yet.
Question.
Which is that? Okay. Like it was literally the first one. I was like, gee, it took me by surprise, completely off guard.
Okay, so we have a questions from Evangelist. Pyro flamethrower, when?
Oh man, so we have the VFX for it. It's just a perf consideration, and then also, how heavy we're gonna go with napalm.
It's funny they're talking about napalm when we then got a question from Napalm Bonafart later on in the video. Why is this now struggling?
VFX for it. It's just a perf consideration, and then also, how heavy we're gonna go with napalm. Like, does it leave like a burning effect? Over time. There's more gameplay ramifications on it.
Yeah.
So, if it was like a cool marketing video, we'd show you a cool video of him torching someone. But I really want to make sure that it's actually got supporting gameplay. Maybe even potentially AoE, blocking, so he can kind of block out areas with the flamethrower as well, which could be super fun. But yeah, we're still experimenting with that. So when he's ready to rock, we'll definitely put it in the game post haste. Actually, Carlos did the model for the flamethrower, and he kind of added stuff to the conversation there that's fucking sick. It's very much got that almost medieval pole with with the stake in it. So it's straight out of Rael's concept, but also he added some really cool industrial design.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing I want to think about when we do, whenever we do actual flame throwing weapons is
flame throwing weapons. So it won't just be the pyro. I'm hoping that we'll get Molotovs, that we'll be able to get flamethrowers to wield. Molotovs, some form of melter gun. Calling in a napalm, being able to do something like that. Incendiary guns, exactly. Because you already have the ammunition in the game that does cryo damage. So having incendiary rounds that you could put into your gun, that would be pretty cool.
Interaction with specific enemy types,
Yep.
Different expectation when you hit something made out of steel versus something made out of meat. So that's also a consideration we have to do.
Exactly. And this is obviously applicable to some other Yoruska units as well, some of which you guys have seen in the concept art. So looking forward to bringing those guys to life as well.
Absolutely.
Question.
Yeah, so that was Evangelist's question, it was a good question, and it actually opened up more information on what they have planned as well, which was awesome to hear. Good job, Evangelist. Napalm. Yeah. Molotovs, a Molotov catapult.
Will players get the ability to heal other players?
So we already had this.
That's you can do. Pushing out quite yet.
That's the one we just had.
Questions from Arsh Marsh. Do you plan on implementing first-person reloads while ADS?
So this is an interesting one. It basically doubles the work for the animation team. So not immediately. We'd probably work on coverage first for the rest of the characters that just needed updated animation so that everything's at a nice, even, platform. Then from there, we'd be looking at kind of more character to some of the characters reload. So some of the scavs are more experienced scavs, or they handle things in their own way, so that we add some personality to that. And then from there we might explore that, but realistically, just with how small our team is, we would probably focus on new villains and crazy shit over some of the more nuanced polishes like that. But if we get the bandwidth, or if we bring on some more firepower, then we'll definitely explore that for sure.
You see, needing to reload whilst aiming down sights, you either need it sounds like the problem is you either need to have a bigger magazine to have more ammo in it, so you don't need to reload, or your aim needs to be better, so that you actually kill the enemy before you run out of bullets. That's a skill issue. I don't have these problems.
Question from Nem. What are your plans for the water bots?
Ooh, water bots.
That was water bots, not water butts, which is what I thought you said initially.
What are your plans for the water bots?
Ooh, water bots.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Right now, we're pretty happy with their current implementation, but there might be expanded utility as,
Water
you know,
bots
we
unite.
did show a video of them fucking people up.
Water butts roll out. Jesus.
And it's definitely something that we would like to see more of. So we're definitely exploring some of those options as well. But, you know, that's a push for a little bit later.
Question from DRX999. Mech pilot lore givers. Have you guys thought about potentially having a medium mech pilot as a quest lore NPC, like lore does?
That's a bit of a random question. Why
That's a
medium
specific
mech?
ask. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And that is cool. Yeah. So the early
There are already water thieves in the game, so yeah, wet ass thieves. Basically the same thing.
implementation of it, it was definitely like more prevalent. We could probably bring some of them back and just have them chilling in the hub. That could be really, really cool. Like originally, like back in the day, you know, when we were kind of running through like all of the different interesting, you know, like activities and things that, you know, players can do to kind of interact with the world without necessarily affecting the outcome. And yeah, like honestly, one of our original inspirations was like, a lot of you guys probably haven't heard of like Desert Strike back in the day, but you know, or like even Choplifter, where it's more like a Hella Rescue type thing. And so looking at interesting ways we could kind of like weave that ecosystem, you know, back into the hub and back into your faction relationships. But yeah, like as like a conduit for like adding more lore, it's definitely cool. So yeah, no, I mean it's definitely worth exploring for sure.
And as a side note, if you don't know what Desert Strike is, I'd be shocked if you know what Choplifter is. That's old school.
Yeah, I know. I'm ancient. I understand. It's all good.
I first played that on the Sega Master System. We'll leave it.
OG, dude. OG.
One last question. Will we see enemies generating passive or secondary hazards?
Well, based on the answer to Evangelist's question with the flamethrower, you know, setting an area of the ground on fire, that's a secondary hazard. Even when like the tanks and mechs explode at the moment, they're just burning wreckage. That's a hazard. You can get burnt off that. But I would like to see like a gas, because you already have some of the tanks, like the T90. And the Makarva tanks, they deploy smoke. It would be cool to see an actual gas be deployed. Maybe by the water bots. Let the wreckage do more damage, or at least to the AI. Yeah, well, the AI doesn't really interact with... In fact, actually seeing... That's just giving me a thought, but yeah. Yeah, because like you usually get them like the mechs, once they destroy a tank or another mech, they just sort of stand in the fire. So it would be good to see them getting damaged from doing that or reacting to it. It would also be good to see enemy units interacting with a destroyed mech or tank, like them rummaging through it, like, you know, getting components and parts of it to be used and recycled. Although, but then again, isn't that what the Mother Courage is all about? But I suppose that's more bodies than parts. I think it would be good if, for example, like with the water thieves, or once they properly introduce having other scavengers on the map as well, like yourself, seeing them sort of interact with destroyed vehicles. That would be cool. the AI looting each other. Yeah. Because the AI will react to you looting. It'll draw their attention and will potentially gain aggro from them. Yeah, so like NPC scavs, not necessarily player controlled. Because at the you do have a scav faction rating, but it doesn't really, it can't really be affected. I think the only way to affect it really is by killing civilians that you're supposed to rescue, and that's about it. Maybe you might be affected if you destroy the Rat King as well. But yeah, like I'd like to see like other AI controlled scavengers like the ones that you control going about the battlefield, doing what you're doing, just collecting things, trying to survive.
Yes. Leaves its implementation to your imagination, but some of Rail's concepts and Fabio and Rod's work guaranteed.
I've completely forgotten what the question was. Will we see enemies generating passive secondary hazards? Yeah, that was it. We went off on a bit of a tangent there. I say we went off on a bit of a tangent. I know it was me, but I'm trying to share the blame. Lose some Euro rep while selling to Rusk. Exactly. But actually, at the moment, you can't sell to Euruscan though, because there's no Euruscan trader. It's only Eurasian. There's Eurasian, a Euruscan, and a few Scav traders, and that's it. There is no... The Lardos trailer. No problem, Spicy. Thank you very much for the lurk. If there's any other lurkers, thank you very much. Appreciate you all. Lardas trader. He's not a trader. He gives the cigarette missions. He also shares the artwork for the Ruskin NPC that gives you the missions, but there is no Euruscan shop. Not yet. My theory is that they're going to be saving the Ruskin trader for cybernetics. That's my theory. I could be completely wrong. It's just a theory.
Yes. Leaves its implementation to your imagination, but some of Rail's concepts and Fabio and Rod's work guarantees that there have to be some passive, terrible things afoot, for sure.
Yeah, my mind kind of wanders on what a passive hazard would be. There's all sorts of cool stuff that we're talking about.
It's the fucking gas attack. It's the fucking gas attack, right? Like that's what it is.
That's one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
No, thanks for your questions. I appreciate all the questions.
Appreciate it, guys, and like I said, appreciate the support. Thank you so much for checking out the latest patch video. We're definitely working on a lot of other really cool shit that we'd love to share. It's really interesting because it just sucks when like a lot of stuff is at like 85% and it's like not quite ready, and so we're getting super impatient as well on some of those things. But we really appreciate the fire support, and it's weird too because we never say like, comment, and subscribe, but obviously the more people get to check out our stuff, obviously the better it is for the community. But there's the other flip side of that too, which is that helps us get fuel if we're looking at potentially expanding some more opportunities in the future. So the more people that see it, a lot easier that conversation is every time. So appreciate it.
Absolutely. And these questions, we have so much that we want to do help inform what is next to do. So thank you for that.
Exactly.
What is next to do? Work more on the enemy AI. update the skill trees. Enemy AI and skill trees, they're my two top of my list. Probably skill trees over enemy AI at the moment, because the enemy AI has been worked upon. More stealth, more stealth gameplay, ways to play stealthily. All that jazz. Right, I'm going to quickly go and turn some washing and fill up my water bottle, and then I will come back and I will actually play Forever Winter.